All right, here we go.
We're back with the All of You podcast.
This is a big one.
It is.
Yeah. Feelings are a conundrum in our society. Like, do we listen to them? Do we pay attention to them? Are they important? And I think I can't label everyone as a whole. Everybody feels different about feelings, and we're all over the place on them. I was just listening to a podcast recently, and a very successful guy was like, I don't listen to my feelings at all. They've never led me to success. It's always denying my feelings and falling back on my habits that leads you to success. And I do believe that. So it's a debated topic.
You do, because there's kind of two camps. There's the feel your feelings camp and the don't feel your feelings, act out of discipline, ignore them, put your head down and do the work kind of a mentality, I would say.
Well, I don't want to spoil the whole episode, but I would say I'm right in the middle.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. What about you?
Well, I'm leaning more one way than the other, I would say.
But you're going to save that to the end?
Well,
at the end, we're going to cast our vote whether feelings are important or not.
I mean, I actually don't think I could hold it till the end. I think I have strong feelings about feelings, actually, I would say.
I wrote a whole pros and cons list on what's the pros and cons to feelings.
Did you really?
A little bit. I wrote part of it and then I stopped.
Interesting.
But I do have it.
I would love to hear.
We'll get into it.
Okay.
Unless you want to start somewhere else. I want to know, what are they to you? What are feelings? Because I think a lot of people, I've witnessed people say, I'm feeling blank, and also don't seem to be, they don't really pay attention to their feelings. They're a type of person that doesn't pay attention to feelings, but they still use the word, I'm feeling blank. It's such a habit, in our culture. How are you feeling? How are you today? So what are feelings to you?
Well, this might be the most obvious answer, but it didn't used to be for me. Feelings are things we feel. And it sounds silly, but I didn't always know that you actually truly feel feelings in your body. And so feelings are, to me...
Well, I don't want to speak for you, but you've struggled with disassociation at times. So that can lead to not
knowing how to feel my feelings. Totally. Yeah, I used to stuff my feelings and avoid feeling them because I didn't want to feel bad feelings and pain. I would just choose to numb, disassociate, avoid them. But when you do that too often, it kind of numbs all of your feelings. And I don't want to live like that anymore. So I've made it a practice to get better at feeling my feelings. And so now how I feel about feelings, now that I'm learning how to identify them, is I actually see them as guides. They're how I get curious about myself to figure out how to make the right decisions for myself, what my intuition is telling me. They are, and maybe I should get a little bit more deeper on that. So
we can over time too, if you want.
Yeah.
It's up to you.
I'll hold out on that.
Okay.
But what are feelings to you?
They're critical to our survival. How you're feeling is almost it is the quality of your existence. The primalness of it. Feelings are so primal to our survival because they, think about it. If you're freezing cold, not going in a cold plunge for 5 minutes, but if you're freezing cold and you're out in the, when we were backpacking in Big Pine and it's just 16 degrees in our sleeping bags and you kind of think you're going to die cold, that can lead you to not think about anything else. Like your brain starts to not, you're kind of shutting down. You're not able to survive. So feeling good and feeling safe and feeling like your needs are met, you're not hungry or cold or have a fever, or all these things are needed to just function well. They're like critical to our functioning.
Yeah, I would even take it a step further, because you might feel, okay, I'm time to eat. I'm hungry. But what if you're feeling that and you just ate? So what is your body telling you if you're hungry and you just ate?
Well, that's the debate. Like, I think we can get into that. Like, so do feelings matter at all? Should we just ignore them and disregard? If they do matter, when should we listen to them? And so that's kind of what you're asking, right? Like,
Yeah. Well, I think I'm going to blow my cover.
okay.
I always listen to them, but that doesn't mean that I decide to do what they're telling me to do. So
that's spot on.
Yeah. So I might feel like not getting out of bed in the morning. Should I listen to that? No, I need to get up. I need to start the day. But if for a month, every morning, I am feeling just utterly exhausted and can't face the day and don't want to get out of bed, there might be more going on than waking up is hard and I feel like laying in bed. I think I need to listen to that and go, why do I feel this way every morning? What's going on in my life that's making it so that I don't want to face the day? Mm-hmm. So I don't listen to it and stay in bed. I listen to my feelings to go, is there something greater going on with me? And this not wanting to get up and not feeling like I can face the day is telling me, am I feeling depressed? Like, is that the feeling in my body? And if so, what's going on in my life? Is it that I'm unhappy in my relationship, or do I hate my job? Do I need to make a change so that I actually want to get up in the morning?
Yeah. And I think, that's such a good point. I think, going back to like the podcast I was listening to the guy that's saying, don't listen to your feelings, for him, that's probably, and I don't think he was saying that to everyone, like no one should listen to their feelings. He was just saying what he does. And he's a very successful guy. And I think for him, his feelings probably aren't as good as his system. He has a really good system in place where he gets up, maybe at 5 a.m. and works out for 2 hours, and he's doing the things that he wants to have the life he wants, and he's happy with his life. So anytime he feels like not getting up out of bed, he's not going to listen to those feelings. Like he's probably in a place where he's, created the life he wants. Maybe, I don't know. I don't know him personally, but I think for a lot of people, your feelings are what's going to lead you to that life you want, because they're telling you, they're the alarms, like you said. So you nailed it.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I think I look at them as guides. And for me, the key to using them correctly is getting really curious about them. Why? And an example of that could be the same thing could happen to the two of us. Let's say someone walks in right now and we're not expecting people over. I jump and we both get scared and startled. I could feel...
Also in a big metal building, so that might be frightening.
It would actually be quite terrifying if someone walked in here. So someone comes into our big metal shed that no one should be walking into right now. We get scared. I can go to, I'm so mad that this person came over without giving us a heads up. And you could go, oh, it's so-and-so. I'm so glad they're here. This is awesome, right?
Yeah,
so,
I could like laugh or something.
Yeah, so the same emotion happens. We both get scared, but I feel mad about it and you feel happy about it. So listening to so then I have to go a step further and get curious about, why did it make me mad that this person came over? What is that telling me? And maybe that's not an example that I need to get deep about, but I do think that what our feelings make us feel is worth getting curious about to find out more about ourselves. Because as you figure out, well, maybe it's that when people pop up and scare me, that used to happen to me in childhood. And, it could unlock a fear that I have or something that happened in the past that alerts me to a higher level of self-awareness. And so the more that you can get curious about your feelings, the more you learn about yourself. And as you grow in self-awareness, you just walk through the world a little clearer and your decision making gets better.
Your anxiety goes away.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there's a lot of things happening in the world right now, and we have a giant handful of people getting self-awareness and going and taking courses or trying to learn about bettering themselves and their lives and bettering the lives of others. And we also have a gigantic mental health crisis going on where people don't understand what is going on with them and to numb how they feel. Mm-hmm. And or alcohol, drugs, like numb how I feel. I don't like how I feel. And we're in this place of like trying to understand why we feel the way we feel is kind of the root to me. I'm not going to go ahead and simplify it to say that's to save the world, we have to figure out how we feel. But I kind of believe that.
I think it's a start.
It's where everyone needs to start for themselves is go, why do I feel the way that I feel? Instead of running from it and coping or just becoming a workaholic so you can get money so you can chase all the things that make you feel better or, chase vacations because you feel better when you're on vacation. If you're always on vacation, you're probably going to feel the same way you feel now if that's the way you feel. So figuring out how you feel and why you feel the way you feel, that self-awareness, you walk through the world lighter.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think as you run away from your feelings, what you're really running away from is your authentic self. You're disconnecting from yourself. And the farther you become disconnected from yourself, the less self-aware you are, and the less that you can make the decisions that are actually right for you. How do you get your needs met if you don't know what your needs are because you're not connected to yourself? So you don't know that you don't know that you're feeling loneliness and that's why you're out partying every night. And you don't know that you could fill that loneliness by volunteering or spending time with your kids or loved ones, whatever that looks like.
Yeah, but I can't have a quick fix to my loneliness. Where's my quick fix? Like, that's the hard part, is that learning how to, it's kind of like, anyone struggling with massive financial problems and debt. It's like, there's not a quick fix to that. I wish that there was, but it's a grind to get out of debt. And if you don't know your feelings, I hate to break it, it's a long road to figuring it out.
So, well, I disagree a little bit.
Good.
Yeah. So I think.
Tell me the quick fix. I'd love it.
Well, it's not a quick fix.
Call 1-800-FEELINGS and learn how to feel. Inject this.
I've been dialing that number a lot. No, so there's not a fix. I will agree with you there. But what I've learned to do is be okay with the feeling. So if I can determine I'm feeling, I don't often feel lonely because I have you or the girls around all the time. But I will feel feelings of insecurity at times. And so I've learned, okay, I feel insecure and I feel that in my body, and it's a terrible feeling, right?
That's worst.
It's the worst. But if I just allow myself to feel it and go, yeah, that's how I feel right now. Typically, 90 seconds later, if I just acknowledge it and then go, I feel insecure, and I tell myself the truth though, I don't need to be insecure. I am a valuable human. I know my worth. Then that feeling will pass and I'm actually okay. So it's identifying it, learning how to sit with it, even though it sucks to sit with. I think that's not the quick fix, but it's learning over and over again that you can sit with an uncomfortable feeling. And over time, it gets a little easier.
But as someone that, has struggled to feel your feelings, when your natural response, or your, 30 years, let's say somebody's 30 or 40 or 50 years old and they've spent their entire life not allowing their body to feel that feeling subconsciously.
Of course,
not even making the conscious decision like, oh, this just happened to me, I don't want to feel that way. Subconsciously, when they feel lonely, they go to the bottle. They go out to the bar. And they don't even
name the vice.
Yeah. They don't even know why they're doing it. They don't say, oh, I'm feeling lonely, I'm going to go to the bar. It just happens all of a sudden. And they think they've convinced themselves they like the bar. They might spend all their savings at the bar every night, and they don't want to live the life they're living, but they're doing it over and over and over again. And I've been there. So no judgment. I've been there. But how can they even start? I guess what I'm really trying to ask is, if somebody's spent their life disassociating, where do they start to even learn to explore their feelings?
Yeah. Well, I can't speak for everyone, but I can speak for how I did. And a few different ways. The first thing I did to start learning my feelings better was when I would have big feelings. So I'm super mad or super upset. That's when, and they're huge within me.
You almost can't deny that you're feeling
I can't
something.
deny that something's going on, and it's usually because something happened, right? In those moments when they're really, really unavoidably big is when I would get a list of feeling words out, and I'd go through the list and I would actually try to identify, okay, what is this? Because I used to always say it was anger. Anger was the easiest one for me to identify. If it was a big, overwhelming feeling, it's typically for me anger. But then I learned there's always something beneath that. Typically, it's not just anger. And so getting into, am I feeling betrayed? Am I feeling taken advantage of, disposable? What is it that I'm actually feeling? And using that words list and practicing that. So every time I felt big feelings, go to the list and try to identify them. And the more you do it, it's just like anything. The more you practice, the better you get. You just have to start doing it. And it's a weird practice to be like, get my feelings words list out. What is it that I'm feeling? But it's been instrumental in my life to be able to learn my feelings, because I'm reconnecting back into myself.
To your body.
Into my body.
It's if you don't allow yourself to feel a lot, then you are kind of escaping life. You're missing out on life.
You're living in autopilot.
And you might, and what I found, I'll speak for me, I won't speak for anyone else, but for me, what I found was that I was only really enjoying life at the peaks.
Mm.
And so live for the weekend.
Yeah.
Live for the adrenaline rush when I was snowboarding, the concert where all these sensory, you know, the music, my favorite songs playing, and I'm just at the high of highs. I'm with friends. I'm out doing something fun. There's alcohol. So I'm now, you know, able to suppress my negative feelings and feel the dopamine. And I enjoyed those moments. But Monday morning, walking into work with my coffee, I was numb and not really, I was a shell of myself. And it wasn't that I wouldn't perform at work because I wanted the money to be able to do the things I wanted to do on the weekend. But it was this cycle of I'm only living for these few moments. I wasn't enjoying my everyday life. Like, and then now fast forward, you know, just even the time that we've been doing this, and I went on a snowboard trip this past weekend, and I got home and I remember telling you, it's so crazy because I loved it and I still want to go snowboarding and I still enjoy that part of me, but I didn't enjoy it as much as I enjoyed my day-to-day, Monday through Friday at work, coming home to you and the girls and having dinner and chatting and getting rest. And I just enjoy my life now. When you can feel your feelings and you can be in touch with yourself and feel comfortable in your body, then it's almost like the same as I felt when I was bombing a hill snowboarding. That's just the only time I felt in my body before.
Interesting. I actually want to go deeper into that
Okay.
because I think living for the weekends is something,
Common.
yeah, very, very common. What made that change for you where you started? And what made that change for you, and how did feeling your feelings lead you to be more content in your day-to-day life?
So I'd say like it wasn't an overnight change. It was a very slow change. But what happened is because I could feel my feelings. There's a long path here, so stay with me. But it's because I could feel the way that I felt, I could connect better. So one of the pros to feeling your feelings, I would say, is that you can connect better with people around you. If you don't understand how you feel, you can't communicate how you feel, and then you're not able to kind of understand each other well. You're speaking a different language a little bit. Emotional connection is understanding how you feel and you understand how I feel, and we're combining our two inner worlds in the same room. When you start to connect with people, the people in your life emotionally better, your day-to-day gets better, your relationships get better, and the quality of your relationships determines the quality of your life, as Esther Perel would say. And I believe that. So when your relationships are good, when you get home, your life is better. And then your Tuesday taco night is better. And healing and getting in touch with your feelings allows you to emotionally connect with your people around you, and then enjoy your relationships, and then feel like yourself.
Yeah, I love that. And then I think one aspect, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I think I've seen, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, as you've learned how to feel your feelings and you've gotten more connected with yourself, you've been able to understand more what you need to be content, fulfilled, happy. And it's actually far less than you thought it was. You didn't need to chase these big things. You actually just needed to have a connection between us and a loving, healthy relationship. You needed to be
Bingo.
connected to the girls. You needed to go to yoga to connect to your body and get an actual like a workout in. So you've figured out what you need, and then you started building your life on a day-to-day basis to meet those needs. So you don't have to go chase the big pie in the sky. Your day-to-day life is exactly what you want it to be to feel fulfilled.
Yep. And
all from feeling feelings. That's insane.
Yep. And the recipe for my happiness was so much simpler than I thought. I was trying to bake I've tried everything. I've lived a dozen lives trying to.
What have you tried?
Oh my goodness. I mean, when I was a kid, I tried drugs and alcohol. And then
at a young age.
Yeah, at a really young age. I tried religion and just deep religion. And even I would say like, I don't want to dog religion. I want to say like, and I tried to achieve spiritual health through dogma and rules.
Yeah.
So I tried that. I got married at the age of 20 to try to find fulfillment in that. And I was not fulfilled myself. So it didn't work out. I had tried having kids because I felt like that's what you do, right?
That would fulfill you.
Yeah. And kids do not fulfill you. And they recognize when you're not fulfilled and they pick up on that. And then then you're not stable for them. And then I tried drugs and alcohol again and partying and dating and anything. I tried workaholic achievements in my career, which again, not all these things are bad things, but you're not going to find yourself in them. I was right here the whole time. I just had to feel. I had to get in touch with who I am. And the recipe for me is get up a little early and read. Set some goals and have deep connecting relationships with the people that I love. A few good friends that I talk to on a regular basis that I can give to them and they can reciprocate. I mean, I love a couple of trips a year to see some things and explore a little, but I don't even need that. That's a want. That's not a need. Some food, some coffee in the morning with a book.
Well, and I would say too, if I can add, you've started taking care of your body better too.
Yeah. So they do matter.
They matter a lot.
So feelings matter because if you don't understand how you feel, you really don't understand. It's hard to know what you need.
Mm-hmm. And I would say that at least in my journey, I'm now understanding how I feel. Actually figuring out what I need is almost the next step in the evolution. And it's hard to know exactly what I need. Like I've lived on autopilot for a long time, just saying yes to everything. And now I'm trying to be more thoughtful in, okay, someone asked me to do this. I used to say yes to every single invite anyone ever said. And I think a lot of that was just numbing through just always doing, being a human doing, not a human being. But now I'm trying to actually sit with, how do I feel about this invite? Is it what I need? Or do I need to stay in and take care of myself? And so feelings actually are helpful in discovering that too, so that I don't feel depleted.
I still feel a little bit like, I don't know, there's this part of me that's so ingrained that feelings don't matter and don't listen to your feelings, that it can seem, I don't want to say the word, but like there's this voice in my head that's like, you're a pussy.
I thought that you were going to say that. How is that ingrained into you? Where did you hear that as a child?
My whole life. As a boy, you're just taught not to feel in any.
Men don't cry.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think we're getting past that as a generation. Like, it's understood that men can cry, but there's still a narrative in there that's deep down. It's like, I know it's okay to cry, but I still shouldn't. But I'm being honest, because I think a lot of guys feel that way. And even some, I'm sure women feel that way too. I don't know. I don't think that's just a man thing. I think it's scary to let your emotions show. And for some reason, society just doesn't want to accept emotions as part of the human experience.
Well, I think that it's been painted mostly, I would say, towards men, that feeling emotions are weakness. To feel is to be weak. And I don't think anything could be further from the truth. The biggest example I can give of that is if more people were able to feel empathy, how much better would our political landscape be if we could actually feel empathy and make decisions from there? So the more people cut off from feelings, the less we can emotionally connect with each other to actually be able to see different people's perspectives and where they're coming from. I think that if more men were willing to feel their feelings, the benefits to women would be astronomical in and out of the workplace. If men could actually empathize with a woman's experience, see from their perspective. And I don't want to take us down a feminist road.
No, but I think that, like, there's I just listened to the book Hidden Potential, Adam Grant, and it's so good. It's a phenomenal book, and he talks about, spoiler alert, but he talks about, it's not about what you have achieved, it's about the distance you've traveled, essentially.
I love that.
And talks about, people with disabilities overcoming these, and I mean, if even just saying a story of a human that's overcome disabilities, it gives you chills. It's so inspiring. Like, those are the inspiring stories we all want to hear, and that's what we love. That's the humanity in it all. And so if somebody gets on stage and they come out and they're just expected to just deliver a amazing speech, and they just come out like a robot and they do it, that's one thing. But if that same man, or human, just gets on stage, a politician or whatever, and goes, I'm so overwhelmed right now by what's going on, and talks about how he feels, and was to say, like, it's really hard to even sit up here and give this speech, and then delivers an amazing speech, that's the distance travel. You're showing the distance you're traveling. So do you listen to your emotions? Yes. Are your emotions important? Yes. Overcoming them and working past them, and not understanding that you don't want to get out of bed and you're tired, and still doing it, that's the human experience, is overcoming the difficult emotions of this life. That's what we all want to know. We don't want to know somebody's a professional athlete because they're, were gifted all these things. We want to know what they overcame.
That was beautifully said. I agree with that. I also think that society has conditioned us to think that if someone goes on stage, especially someone in the world of politics,
a
president goes on stage and says, I'm overwhelmed, that is seen as weakness and would be ridiculed. It wouldn't be respected. And it shouldn't be. I think, if anything, the leaders of our country should be in touch with their feelings and emotions so well that they can empathize, they can feel them, listen to them, and make good decisions while connected to them. But society has conditioned us over and over to think feelings mean weakness. But I will tell you firsthand, as someone who has tried to avoid my feelings for years, I would say avoid my negative feelings for years, feeling them way harder. Coping through going out and partying was a lot easier than staying in and going, why do I feel this way? And reconnecting with my true authentic self. That is way harder and takes more strength than someone who's just not feeling their feelings. And so there needs to be a massive shift in people learning that feeling your feelings, all of them, the full spectrum, is a sign of strength.
And it's how we connect.
Yeah.
And we're so isolated, and we're so insecure because we're afraid to lose the connection we have, because our connection is built on these watching a sports game together or whatever. It's not strong emotional connections that we have with people for the most part. We have to learn to connect with ourselves and each other. It's such a cool experience that a lot of people are missing out on in this life, to have good relationships.
Yeah, I can't say I know the meaning of life, but I do have a belief that relating to each other and relationships and feeling connected to each other is just a big part of it.
Massive.
Yeah.
It's really hard though. It's really hard it's against our natural instinct to go, let me pause and find the answers within and like understand how I'm feeling and being able to communicate that. But I truly believe the answer is in self-awareness, and self-awareness is understanding how you feel.
Mm. Yeah. Well, and that's kind of something that I'm trying to work on within myself, is knowing I have the answers within me and building that trust. And it kind of goes hand in hand with that, because to know yourself is to be able to follow your intuition and to make the right decisions for yourself. That's how you know the answers are within you, is when you are actually connected to your feelings, so you know your needs, and then you can actually hear yourself to follow your intuition when making decisions. It's all kind of interconnected.
Yeah, so to sum it all up, like if our feelings are a guide, they're the alarm system that's going off to kind of guide us, to let us know something's wrong or something's right. You know, should we listen to them? It's like they could be wrong in the moment, telling you, you know, I'm tired and I need sleep, but you're like, but the greater good is getting to work on time today than sleep. I could never tell somebody blanket statement, always listen to your feelings or never listen to your feelings. It's about gaining awareness of yourself and knowing when to listen and when not to. That really helps you move through life with a lot more ease. Because when you're moving your life through life constantly fighting your feelings, that's anxiety. You're fighting your body constantly to move through life at the way you're living. Your body's sending you signals to get out of that relationship, or to stop doing this behavior or start doing this behavior, and you're not listening, and you're fighting your body, and so that's anxiety, and now you're living in anxiety and pain basically, and you might end up having an anxiety attack, or you numb and cope and find ways to ignore your body's anxiety. And I guess the other option is to listen to the alarms and see if they're right. Evaluate them.
Yeah, I think it's evaluate them and then look for patterns, I think is a big thing with feelings. Do you feel that feeling every time you're around a certain person? ooh, okay, there's a pattern there. What's your body telling you? Maybe that's not a safe person.
Mm-hmm.
Or if you're, like I said before, if you're feeling that feeling every time you wake up and it's the day you have a meeting with your boss, okay, maybe there's something there you need to go deeper into.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's your body telling you you need to work on that relationship with your boss to feel more comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
So the feeling is communicating something to you, and it's not always something you can decide right in the moment. But if you become the watcher of yourself and notice when you're feeling the same feelings over and over, it's going to tell you what you need to know.
Yeah.
And that's, for me, that's been massive in helping with anxiety, is noticing when I feel certain feelings repeatedly in certain situations, and then going into, okay, why do I feel that feeling about this situation? What is my body trying to tell me?
Mm-hmm.
And then once I can uncover that, I can know, okay, this is how I should handle the situation then. Maybe if every time I see this person, I feel belittled, or I feel like they ask too invasive questions, whatever it is, the feeling in your body, you feel like too exposed, I can go, okay, maybe I need to put some boundaries in place so that when I'm around this person, I don't feel that feeling, and I can get my body to be in a safe place and feel feelings of safety instead of those feelings of anxiety that I was feeling before.
Yeah.
So helpful.
Yeah.
So helpful.
I want to, for a wrap up, I want to talk about the connection piece of it too, because I think it's hard to understand that if you don't, like when I didn't understand that when we first met, and it's something that is the root of our relationship now, is talking about how we feel and so how it helps us connect is when I can say how I feel, or like, because you just have expectations for each other, and we shouldn't in life, but like when you're in a relationship, you're going to dinner and all of a sudden your partner is off, and you can feel the energy's off in the car. And so you start to make assumptions about what's going on. So when your partner can communicate, like, I'm feeling really overwhelmed and it has nothing to do with you, but I had a really hard day at work and I talked to this client and it just got my blood boiling, and so I'm going to be okay, but this has nothing to do with you right now, and I'm sorry it's affecting our date night. You will handle that so much better than if I'm just off and emotionally shut down. I'm not feeling good. My emotion is overwhelm, and it's not a great emotion. But if I'm sitting there in the car with you with that emotion and I'm not telling you why, it's like I'm emotionally cutting you off. I'm emotionally disconnected, and in a partnership that doesn't feel good.
Mm-hmm.
So if I was to say, like, I actually don't even know why I feel this way right now, I wish I could let you in on it. I need 15 minutes before we go to dinner to journal about this and find it so I can let you in on it. That's even going to be better than just getting in the car and going and trying to just push through without understanding the way I feel. Because if I don't know myself, I can't let you in on my experience, and now we're no longer doing this experience together. I'm going to be filling you in on my experience, and I'm going to be like letting you know like what's going on in here inside my world. And when I can't communicate that, how are we even connected?
Yeah, we're not. And then I can make assumptions, which I shouldn't, but assume it's something with us. And that leads us down even a further path away from each other. It can distance
you and lead to resentment. And
yeah, which is my work. I shouldn't assume, but when you feel disconnected from, I think especially from your partner,
But being with someone that can communicate their feelings and wants and needs is a game changer.
Well, I would say that has alleviated 95% of our arguments.
Yeah. I would say the only arguments that come up is when one of us doesn't understand how we feel and isn't communicating it appropriately, which still happens, but we know to go
do our own work. Yeah.
Go figure it out. Why are you feeling the way you're feeling? And I would say if somebody's with somebody that isn't emotionally connecting and doesn't understand how they feel, like, don't leave them. Like, I mean, you can, but I would never give somebody advice on, that. I would say like it's possible to awaken if you're in a long-term relationship and you're doing this work and you're starting to learn all this and your partner isn't there yet. Like, be patient. It's possible. And a lot of people don't know how to actually understand how they're feeling about things. And then we make weird decisions.
Yeah, you've made some weird decisions before.
Like I used to, during the holidays, I used to go to the mountain to get away from my feelings about the holidays.
Yeah.
Because I could just zone out and ride down the mountain. And riding down the mountain, I'm in my body the most because I'm having to navigate the mountain and I'm not stressed about other thoughts. It's like a meditative state, really. And I think a lot of us that like extreme sports or anything like that, we like it because it's meditative. You can't really think about
out of your head and into your body. Yep.
And so anything that can do that for you, it's great. It's a great tool. Yoga does that for me as well, but don't use it to run away. Try to actually come to your feelings and embrace all those feelings. Embrace all of you, all the feelings you have.
Yeah.
It's so challenging and it is a long road, but it is possible. It's very possible. In the matter of a couple years, you can completely change your life. You can completely change your relationships.
Absolutely. I want to add, because when I first started on my journey, I was told it takes 3 years to rewire your brain and really have this work ingrained in you. And when I heard 3 years, I was like, you have got to be kidding me. Absolute what? No, that's way too long. And it was so scary and overwhelming and discouraging for me. And so because of my reaction to it, I want to caveat when you said within a few years you can see changes. It didn't take me years to see changes.
Yeah.
I saw changes almost immediately as I started doing this work. But I think when you say years, we're talking, I'm a different person from when I started this work.
Yeah.
And that's a massive change where I think everyone in my life notices this change in me. It's that big.
Yeah.
Where when I first started out, they were small, but they were still good.
Like it though.
A lot of people don't.
Really?
Well, I mean, not a lot, but there are those that don't. And what's beautiful about doing this work, and I don't want to go too far into this, I know we're wrapping, but the more work I've done on myself, the more I've fallen in love with myself. And I love myself so much that if someone else doesn't like me,
or doesn't like your growth,
or doesn't like my growth, or this new person I'm becoming, that's okay.
Yeah.
I am 100% okay with that.
And they might come around.
And if they don't, that's okay.
Yeah.
I think it's really freeing to go, I love me so much that you don't need to.
Yeah.
I'll find my people.
Feelings are complicated. And like I said, I'd never tell somebody just go listen to all your feelings. And especially men, there's a long road for men, I think, to engage with their feelings. If a woman is listening to this and has a man that isn't in touch with their feelings, be patient. It's really hard. and we've been told to deny them our whole life. So, and women have found us strong for that and glorified that too at times. And so it's going to be hard for us to, as a culture, to get men back in touch with their feelings. But I believe that we can, and I believe that we can still be masculine and strong, and we have the gift sometimes of denying it when needed to protect our families and shut off our feelings and just accomplish the mission at hand. And that is a good gift. And we want that gift, and we want to feel strong that we can do that. But we don't want to do that and not come back home and be able to open back up. Because when we don't open back up, we don't connect with the women in our life or the people in our life with each other, and we are isolated and alone, and then we do bad things. So we just have to learn how to toggle it better. Go accomplish the mission. You're a badass that can go do that, and that's great. And keep being a badass. But what's even more badass is come home and talk to your daughter about how you feel, and let her talk to you about how she feels without going, you're fine, and shutting her down. I mean, my daughters will say, I didn't, they said it the other day, they're like, you were working all the time. You didn't know us well. And I was there. I would play games. I did the same things I do now. I didn't know them because they didn't feel like I could connect emotionally with them. I didn't understand their experience. So they were alone in this world, and their dad didn't see them and couldn't understand them. And now they say, and I took a class to get better and to open my emotions up. And they'll say there's dad before class and dad after class. And now they feel seen and loved, and they're different humans. Just wait. I mean, you've seen the change in them.
Yeah.
And, you know, they're not perfect, and I'm not perfect, and we're still working on it. It's a work in progress. But I believe that this work of emotionally connecting can make us live great, happy lives.
Yeah. Might even be the key.
Could be.
Could be.
How you feel.
Can't promise that I know it, but
yeah.
Feels like it.
Feels like feelings.
I got a feeling. And with that, love you too.
Bye.
Bye.